Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Hayden City Council. It is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023, and 5 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Could I have a roll call of council members, please, Abby?
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
And Councilmember White? Yes.
I'd like to ask Councilmember Sandra White to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen of council, do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, we will proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, as many of you have heard me say time and time again, the city of Hayden undertakes business 5 days a week, 9 hours a day. Most of the stuff that the city engages in does not require the consent of council. However, some things do require the approval or the consent of city council. Tonight, on our consent calendar, go ahead and get a cup of coffee. Here we go. Item 1A, the approval of the September 29th, 2023 Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board Joint Entity Meeting Minutes. 1B, the approval of the October 24th, 2023 Council Meeting Minutes. 1C, the approval of the October 25th, 2023 City Council Special Meeting Minutes. D, the approval of the October 26th, 2023 City Council Special Meeting Minutes. E, the approval of the October 27th, 2023 City Council Special Meeting Minutes. 1F, the approval of the November 1st, 2023 City Council Special Meeting Minutes. 1G, the acceptance of Edward Smith LLC dedication of right-of-way and grants of easement. 1H, the approval of the roadway painting unit purchase. 1I, the approval of the Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board wastewater treatment facility upgrades payment request. 1J, the approval of the transfer agreement with the Lakes Highway District for a grader. 1K, the approval of the amendment to Richard and Tina Davidson right-of-way contract for the Ramsey Road Extension Project. 1L, the approval of La Riviere, Inc., change order 1 for Crawford Expansion Project. 1M, the approval of La Riviere, Inc., change order 2 for the Crawford Park Expansion Project. 1N, the approval of La Riviere, change order 3 for the Crawford Park Expansion Project. 1O, the approval of North Fork Enterprises change order 2 for the Ramsey Road Gravity Sewer Project, Phase 1, Wyoming to Buckles. 1P, the approval of the North Fork Enterprises change order 3 for the Ramsey Road Gravity Sewer Project, Phase 1, Wyoming to Buckles. 1Q, the approval of the acceptance of infrastructure for North Ramsey Road Gravity Sewer Phase 3. 1R, the approval of the 2023-2024 agreement for the use of facilities with Coeur d'Alene School District 271. 1S, the approval of the 2024 Idaho Inc. On-Call Engineering Services Agreement. 1T, the approval of Amendment 2 of the Welch Comer Engineers Master On-Call Engineering Services Agreement. 1U, the approval of Amendment 2 of the Welch Comer Engineers Master On-Call Surveying Services Agreement. 1V, the approval of the generator maintenance contract with Western States Caterpillar. 1W, the approval of purchase request for John Deere 1600 wide area mower. 1X, the approval of the purchase request for a new Toyota internal combustion lift truck. 1Y, the ratification of the September 2023 payroll. 1Z, the ratification of the October 2023 payroll. 1AA, the ratification of bills paid on 10/30/23. And 1BB, the approval of bills for payment.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion from council? Ms. White.
Yes, I just had one question on the final item, the approval of bills for payment. I didn't see a payment for the sheriff this month on this.
So we didn't get the signed contract back until I found it or got it today, and it was entered in for the next time.
Okay.
And it'll be November, or October and November, plus the one-time $160,000 that we agreed to in the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for the disposition of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Well, what's your disposition?
To approve, I'm sorry.
Could you restate your motion, please?
Okay, to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember White,
Yes,
Council President Roder,
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez.
Yes.
And Councilmember Satterfield.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 2, visitor and public comment. We have no visitor and public comment tonight. If anyone would like to make a visitor or public comment, if you please fill out a slip at the back of the room. Nobody's running for the back of the room here. Okay. Tonight we have no public comment. Move right into unfinished business. Item 3A, an ordinance creating a public safety commission. Just a minute here. Ladies and gentlemen of council, since I'm also acting as city administrator, I guess I can tell you about this one. We asked you about last council meeting if you had, excuse me, any comments or questions regarding the creation of the Public Safety Commission, to please get them to us. We received one comment from Councilmember White. She asks that we include 2-9-3D, a verbal report of the meeting by a representative, and a copy of the draft minutes will be given to the city council within 30 days of each meeting. In addition to that, the commission meetings will be video recorded and put on the city's YouTube channel. Comments or discussion regarding Councilmember White's suggestion?
Sure.
Mr. DePreez.
Thank you. Regarding the logistics and cost of the video, will it be something done as we're doing now, or will we need to be considerate of additional costs?
There would be an additional cost involved of, at this point, given the contract that we have, it would cost $300 per meeting to video record it.
So it'd be with that outside source and not our local
Correct, that is an outside source.
in-house source?
Our in-house source does not have the availability to record those.
Okay.
I think he has the availability, he does not have the time to record those. With no other yes, Ms. White?
yeah, I would like to address that. I believe that transparency and clear communication is key to this commission, because their goal is to bring us their findings and to get information for the city council. And it's not clear how frequently they'll be meeting, but it looks like at least twice a year. And with that much of a gap between meetings, it's easy to forget what you said, what you agreed on. And so that's why I'm asking for the video recording. I believe that knowing exactly what they've talked about and what their findings are will help us as a council and also help them as a commission to recall their findings. And also, it's clear communication. And I'm asking for the draft minutes to be given, not the final minutes, because the draft minutes are something we can get right away. And this was, I think, a gap in the communication with the levy task force, is that we didn't get the minutes in time for us to do our budget and things like that. So in order to remedy a problem before it happens, I really believe that transparency and clear communication are key for this.
I suggest to council, Ms. White and I have discussed this. I have a different viewpoint on that. Putting in an ordinance that we are going to videotape it and put it on YouTube seems to me to be overly regulatory when we have the opportunity at any time to simply ask any of our commissions to provide us with any sort of report that we'd like them to have. Also, I'm concerned about the city having special rules for the Public Safety Commission, but in fact, we have, I believe, 6 other commissions right now that we have no such rules on. I believe Ms. White may have a point about videotaping. That is certainly an opportunity to discuss it, but to require this of one commission rather than looking at all of it for all of the commissions, I think is a mistake. And Ms. White and I have a different opinion on this, but I don't believe that putting this as in part of an ordinance is appropriate at this point. Ms. White.
Oh, go ahead, let Commissioner Satterfield.
We're going to have city staff there taking minutes, is that correct?
That is correct. City staff will be there to take minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. White.
Okay, so, well, I've been a great advocate for transparency, communication, and letting the public know what's going on in our city. And I've tried at the beginning to get these city council meetings on YouTube, which we've done, and then also special meetings, which has occurred, and then also planning and zoning. And I think those are great benefits to the city and to the people. And I have advocated for all meetings to be recorded and put on YouTube. But right now, in the establishment of this ordinance, I really feel it's important that we, this has to do with public safety, it has to do with the future of our city. These are important decisions, and I'm strongly advocating for videotaping.
Council members?
You have some say, go ahead.
Yeah, am I missing something, or, I know with other commissions, we have them come before us and somebody gives a report verbally, they come here and we get to ask them questions. Is that included in here at all? Are we gonna ask for that, or did I miss it?
Council can ask for that at any time, and we normally have various commissions come and give us an update as to information that, or activities that they are pursuing.
Oh, so that'll continue. And we don't look at any other draft minutes of any other meetings, do we, that I'm aware of?
We do not until they are finalized.
That's what I thought. So I don't think that we need draft minutes, but I would like to have minutes of the meeting. The question is, if we are, say, a minimum of 2, meaning a minimum of 2 times per year, if that goes into 6, because there's a lot of decisions or a lot of things that have to occur, it could get expensive. I mean, if we, at $300 a pop for the meeting, I'm not so sure that if we have a commission member come here and give a report, if we have minutes of the meetings that are timely, I'm not so sure we need to spend the money on the videotaping. That's the one concern that I have. I mean, it's always good the city of Hayden has done a lot with the money that we have. We have a low levy rate. We've been very efficient with our money. And I think we also have to be careful as we go forward, how much money we spend and where. I mean, people can also come to the meeting. It's a public meeting if they want. I know that there's an inconvenience of being here, but will the minutes be placed on the city's website?
They'll be placed on board book where all the other.
Okay,
minutes
so those can be seen by the public. And then these meetings are videotaped so that if someone wants to see what the commission member comes here and we ask questions and they give us, there'll be a good report there. It doesn't give you 100% of what happened, but I think it gives a good idea. So what I'm wrestling with is, I mean, you could tape everything, you could record everything, and there's a point to where I wonder, is it prudent for the taxes to be spent on that? That's my one concern about this.
Mr. DePriest?
I tend to pretty much agree with everything that Council President Roeder just said. I know on some of these things, there's counters that show how many viewers and things like that. And I know that at times I've checked and see how many people actually watch this meeting and things like that. And I would be interested to see the analysis of the cost versus how many people are actually, going to the site and watching it at a later date. I agree that the minutes are available. And I believe you made a good point there with the selective requirements of one commission not applying to all. And that if we were going to do this, that in order to not be selectively targeting one commission or another, that if there was a consideration to do that we consider it's all commissions or none, so we don't get into that situation you described.
Well, I believe that so many people watch our particular meeting because it's absolutely compelling television.
Oh yeah.
Other comments or discussion? Ms. White?
Yes, I just want to comment that timely minutes are important, but with a task force like this where the meetings will be every few months, there is the fact of a timely minute is not possible because they'll be coming after the second meeting where they're approved. That's why I would like the draft minutes. And also, I'd like to go on to another item about the goals on the duties and responsibilities, number 294A. To act in an advisory capacity to the city council in matters pertaining to public safety, including police, fire, emergency medical services, and other areas. It doesn't mention sheriff in here. So does police cover sheriff, or should we add the word sheriff?
Currently the sheriff is our police.
Okay. Because correct me if I'm wrong, they're also going to be looking at possibly a police force.
Would it be more appropriate perhaps instead of police to say law enforcement?
Let's see. Yes, that would be okay, law enforcement.
Other comments or questions regarding the ordinance? Mr. Satterfield?
I was on the Safety Commission when it was decided to put it out to the voters. We didn't have any of the recording or anything, and the public passed it, so they seem to have been okay with how we did that.
With no other comments or discussion, I would entertain a motion to, Mr. DePriest, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess you should go ahead and make the motion and have discussion on the motion.
I would entertain a motion to adopt the language in the ordinance. And so council knows where I'm going with this. After we would adopt the language in the ordinance, I would ask council if you are ready to adopt the ordinance itself. So I would look for a motion from council to adopt the language in the ordinance.
I will make that motion to adopt the language in the ordinance as written, minus the 293 request, I guess, if that makes sense.
In that motion, would you also look to replace police with law enforcement?
Yes, also, to change the verbiage, the word police to law enforcement on 2-9-4.
So if I may clarify for council members, the motion that Mr. DePriest just made is to adopt the language in the ordinance as written with the exception of police and including law enforcement and not including council members White suggested change. Is that correct? Correct. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Mr.
Ms. White, sure.
Yes, I would just like to mention, to comment on what Councilmember Satterfield said, is that with the levy task force, the minutes did not come out in a timely manner, and the meeting was not videotaped, and the idea of doing a levy on the city was brought to my attention abruptly in August, way after the budget was set. So I feel like it is a hindrance to my decision-making capabilities to not have more transparency.
Well, I guess the
and clearer-
public was way ahead of you, because they approved it, they thought it was okay, they had the information they needed, so I'll go with the public. They're the ones who vote us into office.
Ms. White, in fairness, I think we should point out that City Administrator Boyer, after every law enforcement committee meeting, did report to council on the happenings of what went on with it, although I certainly agree with you on the other points. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Abby.
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
No?
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 3B, the Hayden Urban Renewal District Expansion Open House Planning.
Oh, Mayor,
Oh, yes, sir.
well, we're going to have two motions on
Oh,
this.
thank you very much. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
3 motions.
Yeah. Council, I would appreciate a motion to read the ordinance by title only, to suspend the rule of reading in full on 3 separate dates, and to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember White?
No.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember DePreez?
Yes.
And Council President Roeder?
Yes.
This is an ordinance of the City of Hayden, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, amending Title II, Boards and Commissions, to add a Chapter 9, Public Safety Commission, providing severability, providing repeal of conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. I would now appreciate a motion from council that the ordinance be adopted on its having passed its first reading by title only, and that it be published by summary, incorporating the title as the core of the summary upon passage. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
We have that motion and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
No.
Councilmember DePreez?
Yes.
And Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Thank you for keeping me honest there, Mr. Roeder. Item 3B. The Hayden Urban Renewal District Expansion Open House. At the last council meeting, council directed staff to get moving on trying to come up with some dates for our open house regarding the expansion of the Hayden Urban Renewal District. And after many phone calls, our city clerk, Abby Sanchez, has come up with 2 possible dates: Thursday, November 30th, or Tuesday, December 5th. Does any member of council have preference on either of those, conflicts, anything to that extent?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. White?
Yes. We are also going to be discussing the signboards in the next discussion. And in looking at the signboards, I would like to make a proposal that rather than having the open house be in November or December, but that we have a workshop together deciding what will be on the signboards, and have the workshop in January, after the holiday season.
So So your suggestion then is that we not come up with either of these two dates, but we instead postpone it, have a council workshop?
Yes.
To decide what should be put on the signboards?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I make a
Well, first of all,
motion.
let's have some discussion.
Okay.
Any discussion from council?
I think, Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Priest?
I'm trying to go back into my memory here and see how long it's been since we've been dealing with this expansion question. I'm thinking back into last April or May, if I'm not mistaken, as to when this was asked for. Do we want to do it or not? I don't know whether there are any impending deadlines, shall we say, with regards to projects that may possibly come under consideration for assistance through this expansion, or if it's just a matter of pushing it farther and farther down the road, which will end up resulting because most of my understanding and looking at the capital improvement plan and alike is that the assistance that has been discussed, if this expansion is approved, has to do with traffic mitigation and the like. And I think the farther we keep pushing this out, the longer it's going to take to mitigate traffic and so forth. I guess that's just all I need to say on that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Ms. White, would you like to make a motion?
I move that we postpone the workshop until after New Year's and have a, let's see, how would I word this? So what are we calling this new meeting? It's the
It's an open house.
open house, yes.
Yes.
I move that we postpone the open house until after New Year's and have a council workshop on the wording of the proposals in November or December.
We have a motion in front of us. Further comments or questions from council?
I'd just like to
Do
add.
you have a
Oh, I'm sorry.
second?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I need to have a
sorry.
second first. Is there a second on Ms. White's motion? Motion dies for lack of a second. Are there any other motions that council would like to make regarding either Thursday, November 30th or Tuesday, December 5th?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Roeder?
Yes, I'd like to motion that the Hayden Urban Renewal District expansion open house does occur, that we approve it. I just want to make sure we have enough time to prepare for that open house, and I'm thinking maybe the December 5th date might be better, because it gives us a little bit more time. I think November 30th is kind of tight with Thanksgiving and that. So that would be what I would include in my motion, that we make just Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, the date of the open house.
Do we have a second?
Time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What time?
What time?
Oh. Council members, time frame?
I don't know. Well, let's make it convenient for the public, so
Should we make it, I'll just throw this out for council. Feel free to disagree, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.?
I'd go a little longer than that, Mr. Mayor, give people time to get here.
Okay,
Maybe 4 to 7 or 3 to 7 or something like that.
so my motion would be from 4 to 7.
motion will be from 4 to 7.
Second.
Okay, so, Mr. Roeder, just so I'm clear, could you please restate your motion?
Yes, I would like, my motion is to approve the Hayden Urban Renewal District expansion open house for the date of Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, from the hours of 4 to 7 p.m.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
And Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Motion passes. Our next item is the Welch-Comer Engineers Professional Services Agreement for Hayden Urban Renewal District Expansion Open House. Ms. White, this was on our consent calendar, and you requested that it be moved to an action item.
Yes.
You have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to just get some clarification before we went to printing for this, because I just wanted to clarify. So this is, I guess, Alan, this is these signs are something that you've proposed?
Yes.
Okay, so, so it's 3 signs, and it's going to cost $860?
It's 3 boards that would include the areas that are the options. To be color-coded with a description, and also color-coded with potential projects that could be included in each of those areas.
Okay. So are we only looking at the projects brought forth by Urban Renewal, not any other additional projects for the,
These
consider.
projects are not actually brought forth by Urban Renewal. This is in our capital improvement plan that
Capital improvement
council
plan.
approved 3 months ago.
okay. All right. Are we also going to have information about the finances, like what it'll cost the city and what amounts of money Urban Renewal would be putting towards these projects if it goes forth?
I don't think.
No fiscal?
We could have a budget on the projects. That's in our capital improvement project.
Right. That was going to be my question. I believe the capital improvement plan lists the budget and the projected participation by, if I'm not mistaken, on one of the columns, it talks about the different forms of funding. I believe that there is a projected or whatever participation amounts.
On our capital improvement, we do have funding sources that we would be using, but they probably don't include, unless it's already in the HURA district.
It just says if it's her eligible or not.
Okay,
Right.
that's what it is, yeah. Yeah, there are no amounts, but just that it's, okay.
Other questions or comments from?
Yes.
Yes, Ms. White.
Yeah, so it says here to add the city's capital improvement plan projects, estimated costs from the city's transportation master plan to the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency boundary and HURA proposed expansion areas. So, yeah, I just wanted to confirm that it was going to have the urban renewal expansion areas. And the costs, can we have what each project will cost the city, and if we have that budgeted?
I think that's what that means.
That's what
It's
that
the
is?
project and the estimated cost
Okay,
of that project.
okay. Will we also see what right-of-ways will need to be purchased for each project?
It's,
If it's in our capital improvement in the project, if it's already in there, yes. I'm not proposing doing new project projections for the specific open house.
Okay,
the problem is you may have an eligible parcel that could be utilized for 2 or 3 different projects that haven't been identified yet. So they're going to show of the expansion parcels, what projects that parcel would be eligible for that are in our capital improvement plan.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Mayor?
Mr. Roeder.
Yes, thank you. The purpose of this open house, and this is a question. I did-
You need an answer.
Yeah, I would like, so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It took an attorney to
How
give us that
perceptive,
answer.
yeah.
Like, oh, this is a question, okay.
Yeah, so this is a question is, what we want is we want feedback from the public about where we're going to expand and where the priorities should be to spend the money. And isn't that the bottom line of this? So that becomes important because we want your involvement. We want to hear from you what's important to you. And now I know we do have some survey results, but I think this is getting more focused into urban renewal. and being able to utilize money from urban renewal to help pay for our intersections. So the question is, and I think I got my answer, is, so someone will be directing this open house to inform people about what they're to do and how, and how they're going to be voting and explaining the process. So it's not just, it's an educational time, but it's also a time to get feedback from the public. Is that all true?
If I might clarify one thing you just said, the public is not going to be voting on this.
But don't they put like stickers up on where they want things to happen, or is that part of it?
It would be, in a sense, you're going to get input. So the staff will be operating, trying to help guide this. The intent with having the projects is to get the people's additional input on the projects that they're interested in. Oh, thank you. I'm going to get in trouble for not talking into the mic. You would get also the input on what boundary areas they like, which typically would be associated, I would think, with the projects that are associated. So you will get input from the public. I'm not sure voting is the right.
Yeah, I chose the wrong
Feedback.
words.
Okay,
But will that be written responses or input that we can then read, or how will we get that input?
Both written and
Well, we're gonna
verbal,
be here, aren't we?
and you should be here to listen and talk to
We're gonna
people.
be
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
and the public, from my discussions with you, Alan, there will also be comment cards that the public can fill out to let us know their thoughts. as
Preferably
they-
comment cards are always the best because then it doesn't get dropped. But I mean, it's of record.
Thank you.
Ms. White.
I just wanted to say thank you because this is the conversation I needed to hear. I wanted it clarified what the evening was going to look like and that we, as council members, were going to be able to participate as well. So thank you.
Mr. Satterfield.
Alan, are we going to have any signage participation by, and maybe this isn't a question for you, maybe it is for the rest of council. I think it'd be very important to have somebody there representing not necessarily urban renewal, maybe, but to explain what urban renewal actually is, because it's not an easy thing to grasp. And you can pick it apart all day with misinformation. But it'd be nice to have somebody that could actually explain it in simple terms. I don't know if council agrees with me or not, or I'm directing this to anybody who will listen.
So when council directed staff to get an open house set up, it was to get the public's input on the projects and the areas that they would want to expand. So that is the way I set this up. So I did not.
And I'm looking at probably expanding what your direction was.
That's what I'm hearing.
That thinking more about it, is it prudent to ask the public's opinion if they don't understand what urban renewal's about?
Can I interject? I've been a member of HER for 6 years. I'll be there.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm a resource, so I can do the best I can, and
I just wanna make sure
if I can't get you the
somebody's-
answer, I'll get it to you.
I just want to make sure somebody's there that can explain the questions because, you know, as you know, Matt, a lot of folks don't understand it.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about it, yeah.
Mr. DePriest.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'd agree with, no offense here, but, and you are a wealth of information with regards to, but if we did invite somebody from HERA who could more specifically be a direct resource to explain, because it is pretty complicated. And all you have to do is talk to people and have the variety of, and hear the variety of descriptions that people think HERA is and how they operate as compared to the realities of how they actually operate and where the money comes and goes and things like that. I think it would be very helpful to have a representative of HERA if they could, to be here to you know, Matt may be talking to somebody or whatever, but this would be a resource, so that's just my 2 cents.
If I may counter that, Mr. DePriest. HERA has had its say in suggesting the areas for potential expansion. Certainly, as members of the public, they would be welcome to attend, but I'm not sure that this would be an appropriate place to have HERA, other than Council President Roeder, having HERA represent themselves here. We will have Alan, we will have, I hope, Donna here to explain this, and these guys know, and along with Mr. Roeder, they know this stuff really well.
No, I don't have, my concern is, and I think we've probably all experienced it, people come to events like this, and is the discussion going to stay focused on, okay, here's the areas of expansion, or as frequently happens, it slides off into, well, HERA is this, that, this, that, this, that, and this is why I like or don't like or agree or whatever, and totally unrelated to these points of expansion. And so those questions, I think, are really where a lot of education needs to occur, and we're almost, we're sliding in between two elements here of the points of expansion as opposed to the realities of how HERA operates and the like. So I have no problem with what you're saying. We don't necessarily need one. I just think that the more available information, the better.
Well, council members, I think, Ms. White?
What about a simple fact sheet about HERA that can be handed out for people to take with them?
That'd be excellent. That'd be fine.
Good idea. Ms. White?
I also would like to say that the people should also be aware that these things and projects and areas that we're choosing, there's no guarantee or written agreement that any of those projects will happen. So I just want people to realize that this is not a legally binding kind of decision that we're making, other than the district, giving the district. So, thank you.
Mayor, how are we going to notify the public of this meeting? Are we going to do anything extra to try and get as much participation from the public? Because to me, it's very important the public is involved in this, because there's negatives, there's positives, and they should be the ones choosing on it. So I just want to make sure we get the word out, please come. So
Our city clerk, Abby Sanchez, will be in charge of basically advertising this, and I think she's heard loud and clear that we want folks to know that this is coming up.
have you heard that?
From the council, yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Council, if you have any suggestions on where to share the information, please let me know.
Okay, good, thank you.
So the item up for a motion right now is whether or not to approve the proposed engineering services agreement for $860. May I have a motion on that from council? Come on, council, you can do it. Yes,
We need a motion.
we need a
correct?
motion.
Okay,
To
I'll make
approve
the,
this purchase.
I'll make the motion that we accept the Welsh Comer Engineers Professional Services Agreement for Hayden Urban Renewal District Expansion Open House.
Thank you.
Second,
And we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
I'd like to make a comment.
Mr. Roeder?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It's possible, I don't know if it's, will happen, but we could request HERA pay for this $860 because it does involve them. And so I just make that suggestion whether they could pay for it. That's not part of the motion. It's just if it passes,
Yeah.
that we
That's a good
approach
point.
them.
We can certainly approach them with it.
Okay.
Further comments or discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
And Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Motion approved. Moving on to item number 4, new business. The Arts Commission request for support of public art in the Roundabouts project. We have Ms. David-Lou Cummings. There you are, on our Arts Commission. Very nice to have you here tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here this evening. I'm David-Lou Cummings. I'm a commissioner on the Arts Commission, and I'm here as a representative of the Collective Arts Commission tonight. I believe you probably all received the memo sent by City Clerk Abby Sanchez on our proposal to you to consider whether or not, as a council, you want to consider public art as part of the roundabouts. There are 4 roundabouts right now that are planned or are already existing. They're Hayden and Atlas, Hayden and Ramsey, Ramsey and Honeysuckle at 4th Street. This is not a new project for this Arts Commission that currently is seated. This started in a previous Arts Commission. It's something that's carried through, but we feel like that it either needs to be put to bed or it needs to move forward, and we don't need to continue to just regurgitate this information. So I'm here to ask on behalf of the Arts Commission tonight that the council consider whether or not they want to support public art in these roundabouts. We want to, as an Arts Commission, make sure that we are promoting art that's Hayden-centric, and if we do these roundabouts, that the art in the 4 roundabouts would complement each other and hopefully identify that these roundabouts actually still, they are part of the Hayden city limits, to let people know that they are still in the city of Hayden. And so before we want to proceed with any discussion that we would have, we would like the commission to decide if this is something that they would be supportive of, and also if there would be financial support that the council would consider in future budgets, or if this is financial support that we would need to obtain from other sources. We spoke the last meeting about a theme for the roundabouts, and the one we centered on was the 4 seasons that we experience here in North Idaho that we think would be a good idea for the roundabouts.
Okay. Please don't go away. Thank you very much for that.
Certainly.
Certainly a reasonable request of council. Do we have any discussion from council on Ms. Cummings' first question, which is the council supportive of the Arts Commission proceeding with public art in the roundabouts?
I'd like to make some,
Mr. Roeder.
thank you, Mayor. I made this comment before. I would like to see the city of Hayden provide pads for artists to display their art. It gives them a way to possibly show and maybe sell their art. Now, I'm not being unique in this, in that City of Coeur d'Alene actually makes a commission on the sale of that art. So as a city, I like that idea. So I would be, I don't support public dollars going and buying public art. We have roads to fix. We have some other priorities. But however, I think that where you have made the option of maybe other funding sources, that we could provide a concrete pad to allow somebody to put their art on there, and that it be known that it's for sale and we make a commission on it. I would support that.
Other council input?
Question.
Mr. Priest.
Thank you. I guess a question, are you provide the pad within the roundabout and place the art there? That's interesting. I'm looking at approximately $60,000 for 2 previous, the Epiphany and Dusk and Dawn. And I'm seeing 4 planned existing roundabouts, so by the time we get there, we're looking at $250,000 roughly.
Sir, I believe that those figures were, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, may I?
That's okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor and Councilman DePriest, I believe that those figures were simply provided as what the city has spent in the past. At this point, this is just a concept. We don't even know how much art would cost. We had a discussion about what it would need to look like as far as height, so it wouldn't impede the sight of the drivers around the roundabout. And so the space that we would even need, or the size of the arch, would be something that would need to be explored. So I don't think at this point, we as an art commission even have an idea of what the cost of this would be, whether it would be minimal or whether it would be to this point. And I feel that this is a lot of money to ask the taxpayers, as well as I've heard some of the other art commissioners say. So we're not asking for money in a dollar figure at this point. We're simply asking to go forward with the concepts.
Right, and that kind of gets to number 2, though, is the council interested in participating in funding? And so if we say, yeah, we are interested in participating funding, we really don't have any idea of 100,000 or 500 where it might end up. So I agree with Council President Roeder that providing an opportunity for artists to participate in this type of a situation, I think is very good, good idea. Whether we find artists who actually do, and I agree with the, hey, if they want to put a piece there and somebody says, I'd like to buy that, that's even better type of thing. But if we did decide to participate in funding, I think we would need to put limitations on it. Say, well, to give you an idea alone, yeah, we're willing to go X, and then as it moves along, you may say, well, here's what we may get from the city, but other than that, it's going to be whatever funding that you need. So I'm supportive of the Art Commission proceeding with Art and Roundabouts, but then to go to number 2, how are we going to deal with, are we supportive of funding, and if so, how much?
Thank you, Mr. DePriest. Ms. White or Mr. Satterfield, comments?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Hi. Well, I've had the privilege of sitting in on some of your art commission meetings, and I see the passion in you. And before I was on city council, I was considering being on arts myself, because it's such a great thing. One of the things that came up in one of the meetings was maybe putting a fountain on one of the traffic circles. But there's also the concern about wildlife going into the traffic circle to get a drink, and that could cause accidents and things. I even saw something on social media where someone was saying, we have deer that cross Government Way to get to the Blue Plate Cafe parking lot to drink from their fountain. So it is a problem. So I would just stay away from any kind of fountains in the public circle there. I'm hesitant to commit to public art in the roundabouts at this time because it does incur cost. But we start our budget planning in March or April. So if you did have a project you were thinking about and a cost, that would be the time to bring it forward. I really like some of the things that I like everything you guys are doing. I like the art out in the gallery. And I don't know if you recall, but in the past, the Arts Commission has had, like a reception for the artist, where they said, okay, we're going to launch the artist for the next 3 months, and let's have a reception. And I like the idea of that. I like that you guys are in the parades. You were at the trunk or treat. You did rock painting with the kids. The wraps on the power boxes are great. I especially like that one over here in front of the old schoolhouse that has the picture of the old schoolhouse. That is just on point. And then doing plays in the summer. And I just suggest you keep on doing what you're doing, and I don't know, just one small suggestion would be to say, Arts Commission does these 6 things, and this is what we do, and make a schedule for it, and yeah. But as far as the traffic circles and the funding for that, I'm not in favor of that at this time. But thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Satterfield?
I think when you use the reference on what the Epiphany and the Dragonflies cost, Urban Renewal paid for some of that. So, yeah, I know it's tax money, but I would suggest also hitting them up for some dollars. And I've been involved in the art world for almost 40 years now. Art is important to me. I back this 100%. The more art, the better. To put a price on it, though, is very, very difficult because it depends on the artist, depends on what they're doing. It depends on whether the artist is famous or not. It depends on whether the artist may be trying to make a name for themselves. It may depend on a member of the community wanting to create some sort of legacy for a relative or someone who's been important to this city and stuff. So I would suggest, I'm 110% behind art, but I would suggest leaving the costs off of it because it's so difficult to nail down a cost. And I would do it one by one and bring it back to council. Urban renewal, great place to go and ask for it too. And the public, there's a lot of public out there. I think you might be surprised how many people out there would participate. So I think there are some other funding sources, as Matt mentioned, when we got to build the roundabouts first. So we got to come up with money for that. So anyway, though, but I support the arts tremendously. And I think there's a lot of different ways to get revenue.
Mr. Mayor?
Council,
If I could, please,
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor and
Sure.
Councilman Satterfield. I believe that not all the roundabouts are in the HURAs. So HURA money wouldn't be available for all of the projects.
You're absolutely correct. But when we're talking about expansion, who knows what the future brings? Who knows? I'm just suggesting that they may be a resource if it ever is in one of their districts, so.
Thank you.
members of council, the commission, I'm sorry. Mr. Roder, go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Urban renewal does have a fund for art. And if I'm not mistaken, and, the mayor and I talk about getting older and our memory sometimes. You got to have fun with that, right? I think there's about $5,000 that we have in that fund. Some of the art that has been funded, like the flags that go up in the light posts, I know that we, a number of years ago, bought new ones. But the interesting thing about when the plan for urban renewal district was put together back in 2003 or 8 or whatever year that, I think it's 3 or 4, it said that we may fund art. There's a misconception that some people think that we shall fund art. But the urban renewal is under no obligation to fund art, so it may. Under the previous, about 8 years ago or even more, they actually put a dollar amount in that was pretty high, like in the $40,000, $50,000 range, which that got changed. So that's why we're down to about 5. And right now, I don't know of any projects that have been requested from HURA, other than I think there may have been a presentation for the bus seating, the park benches. I think that, and I don't know where that is. So I just to let you know that there is money there, and there may be some more, maybe not, depending on what the board chooses to do.
I'd like to circle council back to the item under discussion here. Respectfully, the commission has asked us 2 questions, and I believe that we should give them an answer. Their first question, and I would appreciate a motion from council regarding it, is the council supportive of the Arts Commission proceeding with public art in the Roundabouts project? And if someone would make a motion to that effect, pro or con, I would appreciate that. Mr. Priest.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I would make the motion that the council does approve or indicate that we are supportive of the Arts Commission proceeding with public art in the Roundabouts project.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Oh, Ms. White?
Does that include funding it?
No.
No.
We have that second question.
Okay,
See
that's
that
the
question number
second
2 there. Roll call vote, please, Abby.
Council President Roder?
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Councilmember Satterfield,
Yes.
and Councilmember DePreez.
Yes.
That motion passes. To Ms. Cummings' second question, is the council interested in participating in funding this project? Regardless of the source, is the council interested in funding this project? I would appreciate a motion from council.
Mayor, can this motion be revised from that a little bit in that, I got to think about this for just a second. Instead of saying the council will support giving them money, the council would participate in helping them find the money?
Mr. Statfield, as a council member, you can make any motion you'd like to.
Well, then I'd make the motion that without, because as I've said before, it's so difficult to put a price tag on anything associated with art, that we would participate, the council would participate in helping find funding for the art projects in the roundabouts.
That's a well-stated motion. Do we have a second? No second. Motion dies for lack of a second. Would anyone else care to make a motion regarding Ms. Cummings' second question, the Arts Commission's second question?
I would make the motion that if the Arts Commission has a project that they'd like to fund, that they come before the city council as we're planning a budget to be considered. And I guess that's really open-ended, I mean, but it gives a possibility to look at something. And I'm not committing to anything, I'm just saying.
Could you restate your motion, please? Yeah, I know.
Can I comment?
Sure.
Well, I don't,
We have
Go ahead.
a motion before. Could you restate that motion, please?
My motion is that the Arts Commission should come before the council as we're developing our new budget for the new year and present any project you think you would like to have funded to be considered at that time.
May I slightly
Sure, help
revise?
me.
Okay. The council supports the Art Commission coming before council during budget session when there is a proposal, an art proposed.
Of our project proposed at a roundabout, to be specific.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Are you guys going to ask us to restate that motion? I'll bet.
Abby?
Yes, please, restate.
Then go ahead. You do it better than I can.
I have that Council President Roeder made a motion to request fund for the Arts Commission to request funding for the public art in a roundabout at the time that they have a project ready to go during the time that the council is setting the budget for the next fiscal year. Is that correct?
I think that gets it.
Okay.
It doesn't commit us, but it creates the opportunity. That's what I'm trying to do.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Mr. DePriest.
Isn't this opportunity available regardless of whether we motion or not? I mean, isn't it available to, I mean, I'm trying to understand why the motion when in fact, if as the projects come about, the Art Commission can always come as they are tonight and say, hey, guys, you know, that I don't understand the need for a motion to basically tell them or, you know what I'm saying?
I generally agree with you, Mr. Priest. They can do this. However, they have asked for a motion of support.
I think
for
we've
this.
given them the support already. We support what they're doing. And whether or not and this is going to sound kind of, whether or not we support them coming to us when they need it or not is in my opinion, rather moot. If they need something, then they have the opportunity to come. Whether we support it or support them doing it or not, I think we all do support. When they have a project, come on, that type of thing. So what I'm trying to understand is the need for this particular, yeah, we're gonna make a motion for you to come ahead of us, but you're all gonna, have the right to do it anyway. So I think we're kind of.
If I may, Mayor, I don't know that I can remember where the city's paid for any art. HURA has. Is that true?
That's
So it's just an invitation.
Right.
That's all this is. And you could come anytime, but we haven't, as a city, funded any public art. HURA has. So it just opens up that possibility. It's an invitation, however, I could live, it doesn't matter that much.
That's fine.
So.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Abby?
Councilmember DePriest?
Sure, yeah.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
And Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Cummings. We appreciate you being here
Thank you
tonight
so
answering those
much.
questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Item 4B, the One Place Church annexation request. Donna, can you give us some background on that? Oh, I'll bet they're could they be Miss Cummings? No. Miss Cummings, would those perhaps be your glasses there? There you go.
Unless they match your outfit though.
Thank you. Take that. Sorry, I didn't get down here ahead of time today. So in your packets is a memo. I have to say this memo was one of those really interesting memos that you write and then you rewrite it and you write it again because it has a lot kind of mixed into the middle of it. So I'm going to give you just a brief overview of the memo that I have, and then I'm going to turn it over to Steve Circle and the pastor from One Place Church to answer any questions that you might have. And I only do that because Steve didn't put a presentation together because I didn't call him to do that. So that again was my fault. So I'm running a little short-handed upstairs, so I apologize. So tonight's request is for a piece of property that is west of Hutter Road and north of Prairie Avenue. The property size is about 48 acres, and the proposed request is to come in as commercial. So just to kind of give you a piece of that in context, this is in the area known as the shared tier of the area of city impact. And you guys have seen projects that have been coming forward that we worked through during the development in the county in our exclusive tier. And in the exclusive tier, the area of city impact agreements require those properties to develop in accordance to our city standards. And so it's a really kind of close back and forth, and we work hard on making that happen. The shared tier was created several years ago when it became recognized that the prairie was developing and that Panhandle Health District had restrictions over the prairie that allowed it to develop in 5-acre pieces with septic systems, and that we really didn't want to have our whole prairie full of septic systems. So we created a shared tier, and we created a shared sewer master plan, recognizing, and Alan can jump in here because he knows part of that history as well, recognizing that as properties developed, that they would extend municipal sewer services to those properties, and they would become more dense as cities were able to develop toward them. That was kind of the game plan. And so the 3 cities that were part of that shared tier are the city of Post Falls, the city of Rathdrum, and the city of Hayden. So on this map, Rathdrum is up there, kind of way up that way. The city of Hayden is in pink. Those are our city limits. The city of Post Falls is in green. And the city of Coeur d'Alene is down here in yellow. They are not a part of the shared tier. They're not anticipated to grow beyond the yellow that they are today. The shared tier, all three of those entities can provide comments based on proposals that come forward in the shared tier on how they think they should develop or what they think that they should do, or, you know, put comments in. But those areas within the shared tier are in the jurisdiction of the county. And so they're required to follow the county requirements. Sometimes we can try to get a little leverage, but honestly, they don't have to follow anything other than the requirements that the county would be required to develop as. And I wouldn't anticipate that we'd want anybody else telling us what to do, so I can kind of see that point. The flip side is that as part of our updates to all of our long-range plans, before we created the shared tier, I want to back up to that. Before we created the shared tier, our area of city impact for the city of Hayden went to Meyer. And so we, as part of the ACI agreement to create the shared tier, rolled our ACI area back to Hutter. And as part of our long-range plans, we recognized that we may want to kind of look at how those areas outside of our existing city limits may want to develop. And so that area is included in all of our long-range plans, and as part of our long-range plans, part of our sewer master plan. So, fast forward to how we got here today. This property is in the agriculture zone in the county, and they applied for a conditional use permit. As part of the conditional use permit, I read the narrative, and they said that they had requested, or that the city wouldn't annex them. And I'm like, wait a minute, nobody asked. So this is them, county, they said, come back and ask. So they're here asking to be annexed, kind of based on all of that background history of the shared tier. So just want to kind of get everybody caught up on that piece. So this is our, just want to make sure I got everything here. So this is our future land use map, and this is the city's zone map. And this is the piece of property that we're looking at. It is adjacent to commercial to the east on the southern portion of this piece of property. It is showing up as a mixed use adjacent to Hutter, but as I've said forever, our relationship to that mixed use along the Hutter corridor, the city worked hard at trying to figure out what would be compatible against that future bypass area. And so the request for a church in this area would fit in either commercial or in mixed use. I did reach out to Steve, and he will attest to this when he comes up, that they have no intention of ever putting multifamily in there, so it would make more sense, potentially, based on direction, for that to be commercial in that piece that they're looking at. So I wanted to kind of direct your attention to page 3 that doesn't have page numbers. I believe it's page 3 in the staff review or in the staff memo. And it gives a definition of this area adjacent to the county, because it's kind of showing it up as black on the map. And it's basically talking about the fact that these areas are designated because they believe that they're going to be annexed into the city, and that they shouldn't develop or overdevelop until they are annexed into the city and municipal services are provided for, in a nutshell. There's the zone map. So this was the concept plan that they provided with their proposal, both with the annexation narrative that was attached to the rear of your memo, as well as to the CUP that was provided. A couple of quick points here is that phase 1 is about 37,000 square feet. Phase 2 is about 50,000 square feet. It's kind of a combination of the big building that you see, as well as the band shell and the barn as proposed. They're showing access points out onto Prairie Avenue, but if you read Post Falls Highway District's response back regarding the conditional use permit, they identify that it has to be in conformance to their standards. And their standards are that you have to get access from the lesser of the two roads. So in this case, that would be onto Hutter, which is inside the city. Also, KMPO identifies Prairie Avenue as a critical corridor or critical arterial corridor, where generally no individual approaches are allowed, and controlled access locations. That's where a street would come in, you have a stop sign or some kind of controlled access point. Those have half-mile spacings. So again, if they're not going to go out onto Prairie, they're going to go out onto Hutter, and that's our road. So then from a financial impact, I think it's really important that you kind of see the parts and pieces of this. From a financial impact, in the future, we get no taxes, because they're entirely tax exempt because they're a religious institution. As long as they stay in the county, we get no impact fees. So all that traffic comes out onto Hutter, we get no impact fees from that because they're in the county. So they can't pay city impact fees. City impact fees would be calculated on a per square footage calculation, and then they would, both Post Falls Highway District and our comments back to the county and the city of Hayden requested transportation impact analysis. Again, you know, because of the sizes of the buildings and the number of parking spaces. And we would see if there were any extraordinary impacts that would be required to be paid, or if there would be any construction mitigation that would be built in lieu of paying fees. And then, also, we could, as part of an annexation, allow them to develop and be on septic, because we don't have sewer all the way out there yet, or anywhere in that general vicinity yet. But as part of the annexation conditions of approval, you would put some timelines on there or some funding mechanism, potential conditions at the time of the annexation that would say something to the effect that when sewer is available, thou shalt connect to sewer. And so you wouldn't remain on septic for perpetuity, whereas if they remain in the county, there's no requirement for them to connect to municipal services if they never choose to annex anywhere. So that's a concern as we're trying to protect our aquifer. So staff recommended conditions, should the city council choose to entertain the idea of them coming forward with an annexation request, would be to include will serve letters for water and sewer. Panhandle Health District, we'd want to be in conversation with them to figure out a temporary solution to a permanent solution that we would want for the site. That transportation impact analysis that both Post Falls Highway District, because they still are in charge of Prairie, and us, because we're in charge of Hutter, would be requested. And then sewer analysis to determine potential mitigation and or funding responsibilities. So if you have any questions for me, or I can transition it to Steve and you can ask him and then come back to me. It's whichever way you guys want to do it.
Sure.
Perhaps we could have Mr. Circle. Oh, do you have questions now?
I think so, yeah, just one, and we're talking about septic versus sewer and the like, and I'm looking at the diagram of the concept, the master plan, and those look like two large buildings, and you don't know, and I guess it might be a question, is there a school plan here? But the capacity of a septic at this point in time compared to down the road sewer, and maybe Panhandle would answer this, or you may be on
part of that analysis.
Yeah, do they have the capacity right now, even on septic? How many people may be using the building, or, that's the type of thing that just struck me as you talked about this.
And that's why that's part of the condition at the time of application.
Okay.
Mr. Roeder.
Yeah, referring to the master plan diagram, there are two retention ponds.
I would defer those questions.
Okay, I'm going to ask questions about that.
Other,
Which
Mr.
one do you
Circle.
want up there?
Let's do the master plan.
That one?
Yeah.
It's a little fuzzy, sorry about that.
It's okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
Thank you, Don.
For the record, Steve Circle with Tri-State, and I'm here on behalf of One Place Church. Pastor Pace Hartfield is here as well. And I'd like to start off recognizing that One Place Church has been an active member of the city of Hayden for a little over 6 years. If you know, their home is just a few blocks south of here, off of Senta Avenue. They're basically in the commercial complex east of the Hayden Cinemas. Well, they're busting out at the seams. So, and that's a good thing, I think, to have with this economy and this world where it's at, is people still want to come to go to church. So they purchased this property near the end of the summer of last year. And to, I guess I can apologize, I didn't come before you before. We had our pre-app meeting realizing the future Hutter bypass, and not knowing when, if, wherever it's going to happen, realizing that your sewer master plan isn't close for availability wise. I didn't think that to come to you because knowing that wastewater wasn't there. But when we've had discussions with the county during our pre-application for our conditional use permit, there's always been the discussion, and we've also talked internally, that we would provide for that gravity sewer at some point in time, because as you can legally, through engineering science, place wastewater on this site through the DEQ approval and whatnot on a septic system, it's not ideally for a long-term situation. And so that would be something that we like that Donna had shared, that one of the conditions of approval, if tonight you would consider annexing us in. To answer your question about the sewer retention ponds, this is a master plan concept. There's no formal design done, with the exception of there's enough design done, meeting the parking requirements and the minimum CUP, in my opinion, exceeding a little bit of the requirements to, on the county level, so presentation-wise, it shows this is what we want to do here. This is how we want to develop the property. This is the new campus for One Place Church. And so the detention ponds are, would be a mixed use for stormwater treatment, and they'll probably be realistically other areas around the site. They won't just be in these two areas here. On a traffic standpoint, we have met with City of Post Falls Highway District, and they have shared with us, and Donna alluded to a little bit of it, that the access would be preferred off of Hutter, and then Prairie is not the logical location, although we envisioned it was because of the improvements already in the width and the capacity. But we can modify to go over here as well. We are in the process of doing a traffic impact analysis. And so we will be moving forward with that to, which is whether it's with coming into the city or if it's coming in still as a conditional use permit with the county. So with access stated and with this here, I would like that if you do feel consideration seems good for annexing, we would like the ability to be able to move forward with an approved PUD or a PhD concept, so we can find a new home for our church. And then once upon time, in the future, when wastewater municipal sewer does get there, then we would be in favor of that. I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Circle. Mr. Roder, did you have the first question to?
Yeah, just to follow up, if I may, I want to be clear that detention ponds are for stormwater only. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so then if you put a septic system in, where are your drain fields going to be?
Well, we're gonna, one of the criteria with PhD is we'll have to do a nutrient pathogen study. And so when we do that, that'll really give us a dictation of where that can be, because we'll have, it's nutrient loading. So my gut feels is that I think our drain fields would be up here in the northern boundary, because subsurface drain water is historically goes in the southwest direction. But an MP study really will spell that out. But, we've got 48 acre site here, we've got adequate room to design a safe system.
That's the question I wanted to answer. And then kind of a follow-up to that, if I may, Mayor. What our Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board, our sewer treatment plan, has about, just over, a little bit over 1,000 residential hookups that it can take on currently. That may change in the future. Any idea, and I know this is a commercial site, but can you equate how many, they call it ERs, how much usage of sewage? Because if you're anticipating moving on to Hayden's sewer system, which Harbs would treat the sewage, how much would that take up? How much demand would you have for sewer treatment?
Well, I couldn't share with you tonight on like the number of ERs, but one thing to keep in mind with the church is you've got seasonal peak hours. So for this particular case, it's Sundays. And so, but it's not as much as you might think.
Okay.
But it's going to have to be approved, reviewed and vetted and approved through the DEQ as well as PhD. And I would imagine if we get annexed to the city, it would be something that have to be vetted out and evaluated with Harbs. So if that point in time in the future, there is capacity, or if there's an issue of it, I do know that the sewer master plan has earmarked this area for that. So there is some capacity in this area for this use, and being that the future use is commercial, a church campus like this will have less sewage generation than a commercial strip mall per se. But Alan might be able to share a little bit more on what the capacity is for this area.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. DePriest.
Thank you. And question for you, maybe the pastor here. Is there any future consideration of, I hear the word campus and I see the buildings, of bringing in school?
No.
Not at all? Okay.
Good question.
Other questions or comments? Ms. White?
Yes. Hi, thank you for coming. It's a beautiful campus. Let's see. So if the entrance is going to need to be from Hutter, do you have an idea of how you would reroute things?
Speaking with Michael Lenz with the Highway District, we would just probably connect over to here and then potentially reroute that to come along the north side. We have on the northeast corner of the property, it's a little cell tower we got to deal with. So logically, it makes sense to come along the north side, because let me play with this a little bit here. So if you look at our northern boundary, and one of the things that the Highway District was sharing with us on is that there is a potential for a school over here, which we don't know about. I'm sure you guys will before we do, and if that's the case, they're not going to allow them access either. So Michael was kind of leaning us towards maybe ultimately a boulevard scenario here that could serve this parcel as well. And that's something that when we get to going and looking at the traffic study results, but both approaches would be off of Hutter, and they would have to have adequate spacing. One, to stay away from the intersection, and two, have adequate spacing between them.
I'd also like to ask, what's the neighbor to the north for you?
I believe it's farmland.
Farmland?
Yeah.
And what's the neighbor to the south, nestled in there?
Oh, this is the farm too.
It's a farm as well?
The original parcel was a large parcel and then a small 5-acre parcel here. It was owned by a retired doctor that had been approached to purchase the property. And what we did is we did a boundary line adjustment because he wanted to retain the farm here. So that's 10 acres, and then the rest of it was sold to One Place Church.
Okay, and he's favorable of having a church as a neighbor?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Satterfield?
So if this does not get annexed, will the county allow you to build it?
Yeah, we
Do
will.
septic? So, correct me if I'm wrong, your ultimate goal by getting it annexed is to one day have sewer?
Our ultimate goal, yes, ultimately that does make sense.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And we think that as the city grows further that way, it's going to be a logical resolution or solution anyways.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions or comments? Mr. Rover?
One more, and I want to make sure I can phrase this so that I can get a precise answer. the Hutter bypass is a maybe and has been a maybe, and who knows what's going to happen to it. So as you think about if we were to annex and we have requirements for sidewalks and swales and all that stuff, how do we go about that not knowing what to tell them when we don't know what the Hutter bypass is going to be? I know I'm getting the cart before the horse, but I'm just throwing in that what if. How does the Hutter bypass affect this annexation either way? Yes or no that it's going to happen?
Well,
I think that would be part of the discussion as part of the annexation. I don't know if we can answer that.
In other words, it's not something we should consider now as whether we should take it an annex of the property, because there's an unknown factor here. I guess that's where I'm getting.
Part of agency notices for the annexation will include ITD and KMPO, who will be able to give us hopefully better answers than what we're able to give you tonight.
Okay, so then there aren't any roadblocks that would cause us not to annex the property because it is adjacent to the proposed Hutter bypass. So that's not a factor. Okay, that's all I have.
Other questions? Hearing, oh, go
Well, I
ahead.
have a question. I think it's probably for Donna. I was wondering about the fees, that would come in from this. Is it one-time fees that would come from?
Correct.
Okay, do we have an idea of what the impact fees would be?
Nope,
But it's just one time?
correct.
Okay, so it's not continual money that would help with the maintenance of Hutter Road?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
With no other questions, I would entertain a motion from council to approve the request to begin the annexation process.
May I ask one more question, Mr. Mayor?
Certainly.
So this is this what we have referred to as a mother may I, where they're just getting an idea from us if this is, or is this an approval that would go forward?
This is not an approval, this is us giving Mr. Circle and the church the go-ahead to begin the annexation process. It is not, we will not approve an annexation tonight.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Thought I'd throw that
really
in
some
there.
noticing requirements in there.
Mr. DePriest?
Yeah, so based on what you just said, this will come before, they will initiate the process and officially will come before us at a later date as to whether or not we actually want to approve the request to annex.
That is correct. This
Yeah, right now,
will
we're just
come in
saying,
front of
go
council
ahead and
again.
start it, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Mr. DePriest?
Yeah, I would make the motion to approve PZ-23-0142, One Place Church Annexation Request. See, but this is, let me back up. This looks like it is a request for a zone designation.
To begin the annexation process.
Okay, I'm going to put that, my motion is to begin the process of PZE-23-0142 of One Place Church Annexation Request with a zone designation of commercial.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Do you want these conditions added?
Yeah,
Oh,
Those be a condition.
let's see.
yeah, they are, but they're part of them, part of what you make your application.
I would like to amend the motion to include the conditions.
Ms. White would like to amend
Sure.
Mr. DePriest's motion to include the conditions. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember Satterfield,
Yes.
Councilmember DePriest,
Yes.
Council President Roder.
Yes.
And Councilmember White.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight, Mr. Circle. Thank you.
So we need to now deal with the main motion if we approve the amendment.
Yeah, that's correct. You just approved the amendment to the motion.
I would be happy to entertain a motion from council.
Well, he already did.
Oh, you have-
He already did.
You
Yeah, we got it.
amendment, my motion, so.
Thank you.
You just need to vote on the amended motion.
Yeah.
Now we'll vote on the amended motion. Any further discussion, council? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Council President Roder?
Yes.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
And Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
Thank you for keeping me straight. I appreciate that. All right, we are moving on then to item 4C, the resolution to remove a vehicle from the surplus list. Alan, could you briefly describe that to us?
Want to make sure I didn't get in trouble by the wizard. So we had put this vehicle on the surplus list. We were thinking that we were done utilizing it. With some changes we've made, and staff, we do have a need for this vehicle as long as we can keep it serviceable. And so we wanted to take it off the surplus list so that we could continue to use it in the streets department.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council?
Sure.
Here, Mr. Priest?
How many miles does it have on it?
A number, I don't have that number on top of my head.
300,000?
No,
Okay.
but it's definitely probably pushing the 200.
Okay. We quite often see repairs on aged vehicles in the thousands of dollars. And is it a vehicle that's going to need, probably possibly, due to mileage and wear and tear, repairs that exceed its real value, shall we say? Are we going to be spending 2, 3, 5? And I know it's hard to say, but
I will say, Ed, that do not have a lot of interest in spending a lot of money on repairs on this vehicle. And so, when staff had said they had a need for it, basically shared that it does need tires. So we would be doing it that, but, if it had, it's my position, and of course I'm just sharing my thoughts, that if it needed something that was in the $3,000 to $4,000, we would have to take a serious look on whether that makes sense on that particular vehicle.
so this is basically, it sounds like to kind of flippantly say, drive it till it drops. And then
At this point, that is.
salvage it
where
for
we're
weight,
at, yes.
for steel or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Other
you.
comments from council? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion regarding the removing the vehicle from the surplus list.
Okay.
Second.
Uh,
I think that was a motion.
I will motion request to remove the property from surplus.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Council President Roder?
Yes.
And Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yay.
Abby, can you provide us with any information on a calendar review? Do you have any?
You have some items on there.
I guess I do have a couple, don't I? In fact, I'll just roll through the city administrator's report at this point for council. We had another great Veterans Day ceremony. We'd like to thank the recreation and community events folks for, again, doing an outstanding job. We appreciate it. For our youth fall sports, we've got the pre-kindergarten through the second grade basketball underway. We've got 3rd to 8th grade basketball starting in January. We need refs, scorekeepers, folks like that would be interested. Please spread the word, and anybody knows about it, please get a hold of our city hall. We'd be happy to employ folks. A generator update. We have determined that the generator that's at the street shop is inadequate to run City Hall during a power outage. So the staff is looking at a generator purchase right now, and they will bring a recommendation to the council very soon. And community development. Hayden's last day was Friday, and we have open planner and assistant planner positions. We are accepting applications. And in administration, our new city administrator, Lisa Ailport, will start on December 4th. For upcoming meetings and events, the Urban Renewal District Expansion Open House is coming up, and we will be closed November 23rd and November 24th for Thanksgiving. Moving on to any roundtable items that the council may have.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. White?
Yeah, also on the calendar, was there a change to the planning and zoning meeting on the 20th?
The planning and zoning meeting on the 20th was canceled at their October meeting due to
Okay.
lack of quorum. So they rescheduled their November 20th meeting to November 27th,
Okay,
and then their December meetings are as the calendar stands.
okay. All right, and then also on the calendar here, we have on December 26th, the city council meeting. I believe that was canceled.
The calendar should have been updated, so I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay,
There's not a meeting after
thank you.
Okay.
Christmas.
Items on, other items on roundtable from council.
Anybody want to go? Okay.
Mr. Priest.
Couple things. I don't know, Mr. Mayor, City Administrator, whatever hat you're going to wear here. Where are we, staff maybe, on the workshop with planning and zoning regarding the comp plan future land use map?
So on
The joint
November
meeting?
27th, this Planning and Zoning Commission has a public hearing, and then they're workshopping the end of their comments related to the comprehensive plan.
November 27th?
Correct. And then their regular meetings are on the 6th, or 4th and the 18th, I believe. And they are trying to determine if they have a quorum available on the 13th, whatever that middle Monday is, to have a joint workshop with city council. I didn't want to bring it up to city council until I've heard that I have a quorum with planning and zoning. So sorry, everybody. I don't know if that's going to happen on the 13th, but that's or whatever that date is, the 11th, I guess, on the 11th.
December 11th?
Mixed up November and December's calendar all day today.
Okay. Okay.
So we are working on it, trying to get it in before the end of December.
Okay. And secondly, we just went through an interview process for our city administrator. And we had some very talented candidates and the like. And with all staff is not here, but to pass it on along through, I believe that all the candidates indicated that they had gone through our budget and they had looked at what the city operates on and how we do it. And they were amazed at our ability to run a city of this size on the revenues that we have. And I think that alone, the fact that people who are professionals, a lot of these are larger city people who understand this type of stuff, and I think kudos to all staff for being able to run this city as well as they do on recognized limited resources. So I just want to pass that along.
Other comments? Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our general session tonight. I'd like to thank you all for being here. At this point, I would appreciate a motion from council to move into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061F to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Can we take a potty break?
Please.
Wait a minute, not
need a
yet.
roll call
Just a
vote
second.
first.
We have to have a roll call vote, please.
You go.
Councilmember Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Council President Roder?
Yes.
And Councilmember DePreez?
Yes.
We will take a 10-minute break and return for our executive session. Thanks for hanging with us, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it.